Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back. We've got our next session here. Good friend of mine and Nugget is going to be jumping in here in a moment too. This is going to be awesome. And so Heather Blaney here with Knox County 911. And what was it that I had said last time? Do you remember? I messed it up. I said Knox. What was it?
I don't remember. I don't
I don't
remember. Most
remember
people
either.
think we're Tennessee, though. Like, most people are like,
That's
"Oh,
true.
Tennessee." No, we're
Yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah, it's Indiana, it's not Tennessee, but either way, Heather Blaney is up next. Knox County 911 out of Indiana and a session called ESA Dispatchers. Take it away, my friend.
Hey, so thank you everyone for being here. It's totally different. I've never done a virtual conference before. And when Ricardo first asked me, I was nervous and excited. I'm like, absolutely, it'd be so much fun. And then panic set in. I was like, what did I just agree to do? Because in my session, having Nugget like as the rock star, as like there with me is what makes my presentation. Now, I've been sitting here for about 15 minutes with him. He took a nap all day, and I waited until the very last minute to get him ready, and he just calmed down. But I am here today to talk about ESA Dispatchers, and I do have 42 PU with me, and this is Dispatcher Nugget. And yes, he does come with us to the 911 center in Knox County, Indiana. My name is Heather. I am a CTO, dispatcher, and a pro QA at Knox County Central Dispatch. I actually just started dispatching in 2021. And before that, I was a hotel manager in Wyoming and in South Dakota. I am Nugget's mom, his handler, everything. And in my personal life, I do have 4 amazing human children, ages 14 to 27. My oldest actually still lives in Wyoming with his husband. I have a 19-year-old who lives in Estes Park, Colorado. My 23-year-old lives in Terre Haute, Indiana. And my 14-year-old still lives at home. And I'm sure he wishes he was off with someone else. But I was honored when Ricardo asked me if I would do this, because honestly, that whole imposter syndrome, I'm just a girl with a skunk. And again, when I go out and I do these, when I've been able to do these sessions live with Nugget, it has a whole different effect, because when I do this live, I don't have Nugget with me at all. He is being passed around, he's being held, and he is showing the 911 community why I'm advocating for emotional support dispatchers. A little bit about Nugget. Nugget is a domestic-born black and white striped skunk. I'm going to bring him back up here. You want to say hi? He was born on May 20th, 2020, and he was born at a fur farm. He is descented, so he cannot spray. All domestic skunks are descented before they're given out as a pet. Nugget does have a county unit number in Knox County, Indiana. He is County Unit 42 PU. And he is my personal pet, and he's also Knox County Central Dispatch's mascot. Definitely not a honey badger. You'll have to excuse me. My nerves are really shot with this presentation. So today I kind of want to go over the differences between an ESA and a service animal. While I was working at a hotel, I actually had to dive into what the ADA considered a service animal. We had a couple that tried to sue our hotel for not allowing their service cat, and my boss wanted to settle, and I wasn't okay with that. So I'm going to go over the differences between an ESA and a service animal, the benefits and concerns of having animals in the comm center, whether that's a pet policy where you allow people to bring in pets, or if you allow somebody to bring in a therapy dog occasionally, or if you just have an animal that lives on site. How and why to create a workplace pet or animal policy, and then of course community and public relations. And honestly, that's my favorite. You're not going to want to sit still now, are you? Here, let's take this off. and off goes his tie. So not very many people do know the difference between an ESA and a service animal. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that try and pass off their ESA. And I'm going to get distracted, ADHD. I love the hermit crabs. An ESA is an emotional support animal, and it's an animal that provides just therapeutic benefit, like Nugget here, for example. And he is not considered a service animal, and he does not have the same protective rights under the ADA. So I can't take Nugget into a store and say, oh, he's my service animal. Any domestic animal can be considered an ESA. Any domestic animal can be considered an ESA, but they have to be manageable in public and they cannot be a nuisance. And there are actually only 2 animals that the ADA recognizes as service animals, and that is a dog and a miniature horse. And this might take a little bit of time going over a little bit of ADA, but it's going to be beneficial, especially if in the future you do have an employee who's like, hey, I've got this service animal. People with disabilities do not have to take their service animal to a certain trainer. They actually can train their animal themselves, and it would still be considered a service animal. There's only 2 questions that you can ask. The first is the dog or miniature horse a service animal required because of a disability? Honestly, I didn't like adding that disability part, so I would shorten it down and just say, is your dog a service dog? And then the second question you are allowed to ask is, what service does your animal provide? Those are the only 2 questions you are allowed to ask somebody with a service animal. And you are not allowed to ask follow-up questions. If you ask follow-up questions, you are setting yourself up for liability. The ADA does not require a service animal to be certified, to be registered, anything like that. So those little service animal badges and things that you see, it's all bogus. It doesn't mean anything. They also are not required to wear patches or vests or anything like that. I know a lot of people who have bought these vests online for their dogs, for ESA animals, and they expect that they're going to be allowed into restaurants with their ESA animal because of this. And unfortunately, it's not covered under ADA law. Some people with disabilities may actually even use more than one service animal. It's possible that somebody might have, just an example, a miniature horse because they're blind, and that miniature horse will help them see, like their guiding horse. And then they might have a service dog to help out with a different ailment that they might have. And this was something that I was surprised to find out when I talked to the ADA in Denver as well, that religious institutions and organizations are exempt from the ADA. So they are the only places that don't have a liability if they ask somebody to leave. You can ask somebody with a service animal to leave your property if that service animal is out of control, because that service animal is actually considered an extension of that person. So if that service animal is out of control, you can ask them to leave. But again, I'd be prepared. Make sure you document everything, because liability. So I advocate for ESA dispatchers, but thinking beyond dogs and cats. And I'm trying to bounce back and forth between watching my screen and watching the comments. But I want to hear from you guys. What types of animals do you think would make fantastic emotional support dispatchers? What kind of animals do you think would thrive well in a comm center? And I know we heard about Willy Wonka. Rest in peace, Willy Wonka. And that story, our entire center was just oohing and awing over all of the photos. And then when we found out Willy Wonka had passed away, our entire center's mood changed. But I'd like to hear, what kind of animals do you think would make great emotional support dispatchers? Because I think of things like they're rats. Rats are fantastic if you want them to live in your center. And when you have dogs and cats, unfortunately, sometimes you come across people with allergies. Nugget here, his dander is different than a dog's or a cat's. So the people in our center who are allergic to dogs and cats can absolutely be around him. I have heard of calm centers that had squirrels. Notorious PIG is, I believe, up in Anderson, Indiana, and that's a pig. I've heard of people who had, one calm center had a raccoon, I believe. I think a bird would be great too. I think a bird would be fantastic. And again, it doesn't have to be something that's cuddly. It could be something that just takes your mind away from where you are for a minute. I have definitely just sat, I have an axolotl, and I've sat and just watched him swim around in his aquarium and just realized, oh no, 20 minutes just went by and he didn't do anything. Okay, that's cool. Dispatch kitty, I like that. So some of the benefits and concerns, Nugget's getting a little restless now. I didn't bring any like really good work treats. And when we're at work, he's calm and he knows we're at work, but we're home. So he's wondering what we're doing right now. And unfortunately, I don't have any of his really good, like unhealthy work treats. I have celery. And celery is not going to convince him that it's a good time to be at work. Yeah, it's not going to happen. So some of the benefits and concerns of having animals in your calm center, and then of course there is the dreaded liability. The photo that I'm showing you right now is actually one of our EMS. He's an absolutely amazing person. He popped into our calm center once he heard that Nugget was working, and they sat there for, I don't know, about 45 minutes or so. So Nugget, that's what he does while he is at work. So why do we love animals? And I do work with one person who is not a fan of any animal, but he's kind of the exception to the rule. He's the only person I've ever met that cannot stand animals. And we love animals for so many reasons, but like at work, they improve morale and they reduce that stress. They increase productivity, they help with exercise, they can attract and retain employees. When we first introduced Nugget into our community, our number of applicants tripled. We had so many more applicants that were willing to come into work, and especially knowing that they were allowed to bring in their pets, of course, as long as it fit underneath our center's policy. When it comes to the exercise, there are days when I've only gotten out of my chair to go to the bathroom, 12-hour shifts. But when Nugget's at work, we're going outside to let him outside. And it's not just me. My partners are like, hey, I'll take him out. Getting up and walking around, checking in on him. I had a partner who brought her ferret in overnight, and we spent all of our free time, we spent just kind of chasing this little ferret around. It prevents workplace burnout. Petting or just watching animals is therapeutic and relaxing to a lot of people. And animals can lighten moods, and they help make the environment less stressful. As he's like not sitting still or cooperating and being an amazing little animal right now. One example I have is recently I took a pretty hard call. And it wasn't that the call itself was hard, it was how I reacted to the call. And I'm not sure why I reacted the way I did, but it got to me. And Nugget was off that day. He was 30 minutes away at home. And my emotions were coming through my eyes that day. You want to get down? Okay, here you go. So my partner came in with her big old beautiful pit bull. And as soon as this dog came in through our center doors, my mood changed. And she helped calm me down. And she just, her presence, this dog didn't even do anything. Just her presence kind of just changed how I was feeling in that moment. So getting up and moving and increased productivity. Having an animal in your center helps with reduced absenteeism. Somebody who's able to bring their pet into work, or if you have an animal at work, they're less likely to want to leave that company. They're willing to stay longer. And employees who have to take shorter breaks or will take shorter breaks have a better physical and mental health. So simply having an animal in a cage and going and be like, I'm taking 10 minutes and I'm just going to go watch Quilly as he runs in his wheel at 3:00 in the morning, that's going to have a benefit for your employees in the long run. Frequent exercise breaks help to increase morale and the positive attitude about work. Again, just stepping outside. Nugget doesn't go on a leash, he doesn't go for walks, but we do take him outside to go to the bathroom. And not everybody in my center that I work with would go outside if they weren't taking him out. This is Nugget. This picture is actually Nugget at work. That is his nest that he has decided, that's his corner. It's underneath one of our desks. And I used to clean it up every day when I would leave. It's just a couple of blankets. And then I decided he has to remake it every time. So that is now his bed. That's his safe space. When you need a breather from a big project, animals are a great way to take a minute to pet and give yourself a quick break. And I'm a firm believer. There are times with my mental health specifically, like that day I took that hard call, waiting to have to go talk to somebody, it was in that moment that I had these emotions and I had these feelings. And it was that moment, and knowing that I couldn't do anything, it kind of made that moment a little more intense for me. So an animal in the comm center in that moment can help reduce that stress and help with those emotions. Nugget's behind me, and he's decided he's had enough of the office. Hang on. Come here, baby. Sorry, guys. If you've ever worked with animals, he's only doing this because we're home. So having an animal policy or having a pet policy can help you attract and maintain employees, and it will make you a more competitive employer as well. It's the inclusivity. I mean, I don't know anybody else in our county who has a skunk as a mascot. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a skunk. It's a unique benefit if you're going to allow people to bring their pet into work. That is something that is not going to be offered at very many other jobs. And I'll be honest with you, if I've got the same job that's offering very similar benefits, but then I've got that job that says, hey, we have a pet policy, I'm going to choose that job that has the pet policy. I'm also going to kind of judge the people and be like, okay, if you have a pet policy, I'm going to assume that you want, like, you put our mental health up front. Engagement, being animal friendly gives businesses a chance to reach the millennial animal lovers, and in turn, you'll get more productive and engaged employees. We've got a whole new generation of people that are coming in. Nugget. Hang on, sorry. All right, work's over. Okay. He's off to hunt for his work food. So we have a whole new generation of people who are coming in, and my personal experience, my children, especially my older children, their fur babies are their children. That's it. My oldest has decided that they don't want to have children. They're cats. That's it for them. So having a whole new generation, allowing pets or having an animal policy is going to help also to like attract and maintain those new employees. Concerns of having animals in your comm center. And thank goodness Nugget is unable to make that kind of damage. Allergies. Allergies can actually be covered under the ADA. So that could be a liability. If you allow dogs into your center and you've got somebody who's allergic to dogs, that could be a problem. And that would be another reason you might want to consider different types of animals. Distractions. Well, you just saw I was distracted by Nugget. But as that animal it continues to come in, the novelty of having that animal kind of wears off. Some animals need to be let outside during the day periodically, so that could be considered a distraction as well. Or like, I mean, with dogs, you've got barking or whining, but then other animals snoring and obnoxious noises could be a distraction. But even in offices without like any kind of animal, distractions are an issue, and we always figure out ways around them. Phobias. You definitely want to make sure that you're not going to have a massive boa as your center's mascot if you have anybody who's afraid of snakes. All employees absolutely feel safe and comfortable at work at all times. When Nugget first started coming in with me, I went to my director and I just said, hey, I've been having a rough time. Would it be okay if he came with me? And it started off as a one-day kind of thing. And I double checked with everybody that I was working with that day. And they said, yeah, that was fine. And it just kind of then it snowballed from there where I asked again, is it okay? And then I worked with new people and they all said it was okay. But I wanted to make sure that everybody would be on board with having a skunk coming in. Nobody was afraid. Nobody had any like fears. I wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable with having him come in. Safety is another thing, especially if you're going to allow someone to bring their pet in. Allowing only well-behaved and socialized animals with no aggression, and then slowly introducing that animal to its new environment. Nugget would run and hide when he first started coming in. He's been coming in for over a year now, and he has he doesn't do that anymore. He has decided that the center is his home. It's his work. I say we're going to work, and he now will accept anybody that comes into the center. He views them as safe. So you want to make sure that that whatever animal has no history of aggression. I think it was at IPSTA. And I heard a story of a comm center who had adopted a dog, and it was such a great story. Everybody was on board. The dog was great. Everything was going fine. And then the dog got really protective of the people in the comm center and the comm center itself. And I guess it did bite somebody. So unfortunately, they did end up having one of the employees ended up bringing the dog home, and they weren't allowed to have it at the center anymore. So that kind of stinks. And then there's cleanup. Who's going to clean up after this animal that's in the comm center? Well, Nugget's my pet, so I just automatically assume it's going to be me at work, even though I do have people that will say, hey, we'll take him out. So owner volunteers, you can create like a designated sign-off sheet for like a caged animal, for cleaning and feeding, so that you know exactly when they're kind of getting done. You want to create a designated like potty area for them if they go outside. Nugget actually does have an area outside of our comm center. He's got a little bitty sign that says, my skunk poops here. So everybody knows that is Nugget's executive bathroom. And then cleaning supplies as well. You want to make sure that you've got cleaning supplies if you've got an animal that kind of free roams or if you allow pets, and make sure that those cleaning supplies are not going to be toxic to that animal, because let's be honest, accidents do happen. And I mean, it could be any type of accident. Nugget likes to knock over trash cans. So, oh my goodness, guys. Okay, liability. So you got, continuing with this, injuries to animals or to an employee. Many times when I've gone to back my chair up, I forgot that somebody had their dog behind me and might have accidentally gotten a tail or two, and then immediately felt horrible. But who's going to be responsible for that? You need to make sure that you guys discuss that. Health, allergies may be covered under the ADA. And then you want to make sure that vaccines are mandatory for any animal that comes in. Nugget does have vaccines. He gets them every year. And we have copies of everything at my job. I have copies of my permits for him. I have copies of all the stuff from the state, everything. And then property damage. Who's going to be responsible for the property damage, whether it's personal or office, inside or outside? Because Nugget likes to dig into purses as well. So if he were to damage, say, my deputy director's purse, am I going to be responsible for that? So that's got to be something that's discussed as well when you decide whether or not to have animals or pets in your comm center. And I keep forgetting which button to push. All right. So how do you start a pet policy? Well, you definitely want to start by having a discussion with everybody at your center. Everybody. Open this conversation up and make sure that people feel comfortable expressing any of their concerns about this. I recommend a system where employees can ask questions and state their concerns anonymously, however you want to set that up. Because if I ask my partners, hey, do you guys mind if I bring Nugget into work? And 4 out of 5 immediately say yes, that 5th employee might not feel comfortable enough to say no to me. So you want to make sure that your employees, Teresa, yeah, he gets into Teresa's bag all the time. Sorry. So some of the things you want to talk about too, what types of animals should be allowed? And that goes back to like phobias or allergies. How often should animals be allowed in your comm center? Do you want to have one day where there's absolutely nobody? That's up to you guys as well. Which amenities are most important to having in your comm center? We have a basket with dog toys in it. We have the little area out front for Nugget. So that depends on the size of your comm center and what you want to do as well. What rules are most important to the pet owners? What rules are most important to the non-pet owners? So say Teresa, I'm going to pick on you for a second. Say my partner Teresa is like, I don't mind if Nugget comes in and hangs out, but you got to keep him away from my purse. That would be an example of a rule that a non-pet owner would request. Clear scope of who is eligible to participate. Is it only going to be the supervisors? Are you going to allow everybody in your center to bring in a pet if you decide on a pet policy? And then you want to make sure that you have clear expectations for both owners and pets, like what you expect out of those pets as well. An escalation process for handling issues that might occur, and then a participant pledge that is signed by any employee who wishes to participate, and then make sure you keep that on file. And then again, I can't say this enough, an anonymous complaint process, because you don't want anybody to come in and you don't want anyone to come in and fear going into work because there's an animal there. The idea of the emotional support dispatcher is to help with mental health, not cause chaos or drama. Participant pledges, and this is an example of one that I created, I kind of created for Knox County Central Dispatch. And you're just going to have like the type of animal, gender, age, description, health concerns. Nugget has allergies. He's got to take allergy medication in the spring. So that information is on there. Confirmation of pet vaccines, confirmation that this animal is house trained. And then your insurance agreement if you go that route for whoever is responsible. And then of course the employee's name, department, contact information, workspace location, as much information as you can. You want to make sure that you've got all of this to cover your butt. This is where I got a lot of my start off information for a pet policy within Knox County Central Dispatch. If you want to go ahead and check that out, it has fantastic information. A lot of the information that I got from here, I also got from Pets at Work, and that was my starting off point. After doing a lot of research and making sure that our comm center would be covered if my boss did start allowing openly people to bring in their dogs or their cats or ferrets or skunks, we wanted to make sure that it was something that we would be able to continue with. So I definitely 100% recommend checking out Pets at Work Toolkit. It has great templates, and it goes into a lot of detail of what you should add. Emergency planning. This is Julie with Rapid SOS, and she is an amazing, amazing woman, and she is a massive fan of Nugget. We first met her at the Indiana 911 Professionals Conference, and that's actually, I think that was her there. And we saw her again at IPSTA, and she's just huge fan of Nugget. And anyone who's a fan of Nugget, I'm a huge fan of. So emergency planning is also something that you're not really going to think about. So like, I'm going to bring up Quilly again, because Quilly was in a cage, and who's going to take Quilly out if there's an emergency? So you want to make sure, like, you have emergency planning. How many animals are on site and where are they? What if you have 2 birds in your center? Add procedures related to animals and staff emergency training. So, I mean, while you're going over that emergency training, be like, oh, hey, we cannot forget, we've got Bert and Ernie, the birds over here. Let's figure out what we're going to do with them. Make sure escape routes and exits are also animal friendly. That would probably be more like a pig, maybe, something that you can't just scoop up. Assign someone the role of taking action and making decisions related to that animal. If something were to happen at work, whatever that emergency was, and I was unable to make a decision about Nugget, I would hope that my partner would be able to. Process to alert animal parents in case of an emergency or evacuation. I do have Nugget go in when I'm not at work. Some of my partners will ask me to bring him in on their shifts, and so he'll go and he'll hang out. But I know 100% that they take care of him, and they would inform me immediately. First responders. We have a small PSAP. We have a small comm center. Everybody knows who we are. Everybody knows if I'm there, there's a huge possibility that Nugget is there. However, that might not be the same. So you want to make sure that your first responders in your area know that you have Quilly the hedgehog in a cage in this area. Could you please go and get him? Emergency supplies in case of an evacuation, nearest emergency vet, and then a designated place and supplies if sheltering in place is required. Just things that you might not normally think of by adding an animal that's going to stay at your center. We kind of already touched a little bit on this, what to include in your policy. Again, make sure that your employees are a part of that pet policy process or that animal policy process. We discussed how they should be vaccinated, and then make sure you have that documentation, well socialized, the pet insurance, if that's the route you want to go, that trial period to test that animal's behavior. If you have a bigger comm center, I have heard of some that have pet-free zones. So these are just little areas where no animal can go into that area. Outline any accommodations for allergies, and then mandate the sanitary office practices. You want to make sure that those animals are well taken care of. And again, anonymous complaints. You want to make sure that you've got something going on for that too. So this is my favorite part, community and public relations. I'm actually wearing my Dispatcher Nugget shirt right here. And that's the same tie that he always wears when we do these sessions. And this is the fun stuff. And you saw with some of those great pictures of Willy Wonka the Hedgehog. This is a way to reach out to your community and kind of get a face with the name or with the voice. So having a socialized ESA dispatcher can be beneficial to your already existing or future 911 community education program. And having that mascot helps draw in and keep the attention of all ages. And when I say all ages, we have been to nursing homes and I have been to preschools and everywhere in between. And when I go and I hold him up and I'm like, yep, this is Nugget. He's Dispatcher Nugget, 42 PU. No, he cannot spray. We'll get back to him. I want to talk to you about 911. And I've had kids come up to me at other events and say, holy cow, do you remember me? Well, of course I remember you. I remember you said that disconnected phones can still call 911. Or I remember when you said, if my friend is thinking of hurting themselves, I need to call 911. And they are listening to what I'm saying because I have Nugget with me. It's not me. I'm just the girl with the skunk. He's the rock star. So he's drawing in the attention of our community and they're listening to what we have to say, but they're listening primarily because I have Nugget with me. The types of events that we have done, career fairs at schools, colleges, high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools. I was shocked to know that elementary schools had career fairs, but we have gone to those. County fair booths. We were at the county fair for a couple of days. Touch a Truck events. We've been invited to those. Mental health wellness events. We've been asked to come out to those. After school programs, community Halloween gatherings, family festivals, the volunteer fire department fundraising events. We have been, in the last year and a half, invited to so many events within our county. Everybody knows who Nugget is. Everybody. The photo here is one of the Indiana State Troopers. Anytime I see somebody in a uniform or in a fire truck, anything, I ask if I can get a picture with Nugget with them. Nugget has been inside our sheriff's SWAT mobile. He's been inside the Lifeline helicopter. So many fire trucks, I can't even start to say. Nugget is a very, very well traveled within the county, popular little skunk. But you also want to make sure when you do these things that you keep them safe. I obviously don't put Nugget on a leash, but I do keep him confined when need be. You want to prepare for weather. In the summertime, I actually have a whole bunch of wireless fans. So I will bring 4 or 5 fans and I will make sure they've got water and fans, and I will spray them down with water and they get ice. And I limit the amount of time that they're out. And they need frequent mental health breaks too. Nugget is a sweetheart, but you saw him. He's at home. He's like, nope, I am done. I'm not at work. I'm at home. Don't expect me to work. And he needs those breaks too. So when dealing with 50 little kids, I will give him, he'll take 10 or 15 minute breaks where he's all by himself and he can collect himself. And then we'll get back to what we need to do, or we'll make that decision to stop for the day. I have no problem if we're at an event going up to somebody and just simply saying, hey, I know there's 2 more hours left, but he's done. I'm so sorry, we have to go. Because his mental health is what makes my mental health better. So I want to make sure he's taken care of. And then of course, yummy snacks for rewards for socializing. And that's why he's mad at me today, because I had a celery stick and I had a tomato, and usually he's going to get Cheez-Its, or he's going to get something fried that skunks are not supposed to have. So he gets something very, very special when he works to help associate him with work and something good going on. So we do have an official logo that Ricardo, what? that Ricardo actually designed for us for Knox County Central Dispatch. And some of the things you can do for public relations, making that logo with your ESA dispatcher as a mascot is going to open up all kinds of opportunities for you. I've made shirts. We've got stickers. So this logo right here, my executive director actually did buy us quite a few stickers. If you want one, just reach out and I'll send you one of the stickers. Challenge coins, activity books. There's so many things that you can do for public relations to get your message out there. I don't know if it's going to show. I used my own money and I printed off some stickers for Nugget. Nugget has his own little badge. And I took those stickers and I actually made little keychains and little necklaces that I just give out to people. Okay, that's funny, Ricardo. So that you can do all kinds of really cool things. And I recommend doing it. It's fun. And then news and media. Don't be afraid to reach out to your local media and invite them to come and see how having that pet policy or an ESA dispatcher has helped improve the morale of your center. And it'll get your center out there and it'll get people going, oh, wait a second. Maybe we should have somebody from 911 come out and talk to us about what they do. So Nugget actually got pretty famous by accident, infamous. We were at a Ring the Bell, county versus city Ring the Bell competition last Christmas. And city brought someone dressed as the Grinch, and I brought Nugget. I brought Nugget wearing a Christmas hat. Well, county won. Thank you, Nugget. And a local news reporter reached out to my executive director and said, whoa, is this true? I just heard a rumor you guys have a skunk. And Rob was like, yeah, absolutely. And she's like, I want to do a story. And he was like, yeah, come on out. And that escalated. That story came out. Local news reached out to us, local television, and then another local television. And that got picked up nationwide. As that got picked up, we were asked, Nugget and I, to be on Tucker Carlson Live. We were asked to be on Inside Edition. And just all across the country, we had different news just picking up the fact that Nugget was our emotional support dispatcher. I know. Our executive director, if you guys know Rob McMullen, had a really gnarly accident recently. A really bad accident. He's going to be out for a few months, actually, and he is okay. He fell through his roof and really messed up his ankle, and we're talking surgeries and all kinds of stuff. Oh, how do I monitor the amount of snacks? We don't. So Nugget is a little bit overweight. He's not obese, but he is a little bit overweight. But that would be a really great thing to discuss in a pet policy. With Nugget, I don't mind if they feed him the snacks because he only gets those while he is at work. So the more that he can associate work with good things, I'm okay with it. But that would be, I guess, something that would be more personal to whoever's animal it is or whoever's in charge of the animal. So funny you say treadmill time. We have a skunk wheel at home. I actually have I have 6 skunks that are six that are my pets, and currently we have 3 additional skunks that we're trying to get adopted out. They were surrendered to Indiana Skunk Rescue, and now we're trying to adopt them out. But we have a cat wheel, and they all fight over the cat wheel, except Nugget. Nugget doesn't exercise. He doesn't want to exercise. So, and I was going to play these for you guys, but honestly, if you want to watch them, you can. If you just Google my name, Heather Blaney, and skunk, everything's gonna pop up. So you'll see the Tucker Carlson Inside Edition, Paul Report. You'll see all of that. And I honestly still am just the girl with the skunk. Yeah. So we're going to go through this. Okay. So ESA Dispatchers, or a policy allowing an employee's pet to come into our communication center, has benefits that outweigh those negatives. Animals overall help with mental health, healing, exercise, and the morale of employees. That top photo right there is Nugget. We were celebrating his 2nd birthday. That photo on the bottom, that is my albino skunk. He also was born in 2020, also from a fur farm. His name is Pepe, and he has very rarely come with me into work. He is not a social. He likes his people, but not people. So there's Pepe and there's Nugget. Those are my babies. And that's it. I guess I'm a little early, kind of ending it. But thank you. Thank you so much for listening to me just go on and on about why you should have an ESA dispatcher. It's really close to having Nugget be able to come with me to work has just been a game changer for me. And then listening at these conferences to other people tell me how the animal that was in their center helped them through a hard time. It just kind of helped me realize that it's not just me. My email is up there. And again, if you want one of these really cool stickers that Ricardo designed, just shoot me an email and I'll send a few of them out to you. That's it. Yeah. Pepe's definitely, he's awesome.
Can you do me a favor really quick?
Yeah.
Can you go back one slide?
Oh gosh, what are you gonna do? Where I say and?
No. I just go back one slide. Okay. So your explanation. Oh, why did they play? Sorry. I just wanted to point out really quick your explanation of Pepe, the look on his face. That's perfect. That's all I wanted to point out.
He's like, I like you guys. I don't like other people.
Yeah. He's all suspicious of everyone. That's all right. That's the way we are in dispatch, right?
So my favorite thing about him, I don't know if you can actually see it in the photo, but even though he's albino, on his face right here, where his stripe would be, is a bleach. So you can actually see where his stripe would be. And it's the coolest thing. I'll sit there and I sit there and I just mess with it all the time. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because I always mess with it. So I'm rubbing a.
Well, that is awesome. Okay, you can go. You can put it back to the last slide. I just wanted to point that out, just so people can get your email there and stuff.
Yeah.
So, before I go to the questions that are here to be answered, I want you to mention something really quick too, and the book.
Oh yeah. So I have been. I've already got it written out. I'm working on a children's book, Nuggets 911 Adventures. The illustration is what's hanging me up. I started with an illustrator, and real fast the cost just kept adding up. And I originally asked my mother to do it, and because she's phenomenal, and so she finally agreed to do it. But now she's second guessing her ability.
Oh,
she's taking it. She's like, "Well, I don't like it," and she starts over. I'm just like, "Mom." But yeah, so I'm working on 911 Nuggets 911 Adventure, and I'm excited because I've got a whole bunch of things planned out, and basically it's should he call 911 because of different situations? Like he and Pepe are out doing things, and Pepe gets stung by a bee, and oh man, he's allergic to bees. Should he call 911? Or hey, so Nugget's out walking home from school, and this really friendly dog that's lost just runs up to him. Does he call 911? So it's those kinds of things that I when I go out and I talk to kids, that I bring up different scenarios to find out if they would call 911 or not, or it's scenarios that they've asked me, should I call 911 if? And I'm trying to keep it lighthearted. So I mean, but yeah, I'm
I
really
dig it.
excited. Yeah, I'm really. It's so frustrating with the illustration because I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. But I'm so excited. Like when this finally like comes around, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. I just wanted you to mention that here really quick so that people would have that on their minds and everything. So let's go with this first question here, and well, you may have answered some of these already, but it says, "Will you pretty please send all of the information and data you have on ESAs? I want something for my agency." So that
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just reach out to me.
sweet. All right. And then the good thing is that we've record. This piece right here is recording, so your email is right up above there. So anybody else who might come in and see this, it's right there. And then the next one is okay. So it says, "Is Nugget fast? How old is Nugget? I hate to even mention it, but do you have any recommendations for staff support for when a dispatch pet passes?"
Ooh. Honestly, that's a good question. So let me start with Nugget. Nugget is 3.5, almost 4. So he is almost halfway through his life. Um, what was the other question about Nugget?
Um, is he fast? Is Nugget fast?
Oh,
And then
so he can when he wants to be. He can be fast when he wants to be. Skunks can actually get up to 10 miles an hour. I've never seen his chunky little butt get up to 10 miles an hour, but he's definitely
what?
had me chasing him around. Yeah, they can run. But he's had me chasing him around. I have videos on my TikTok. I used to run around my living room. I do circles, laps, just so I could run into my bedroom and shut the door before he followed me in there. So yeah,
Holy cow!
as far as when somebody's pet passes, that's a tough one because everybody's different. And I, honestly, when Nugget goes, it's going to be devastating for me. Um, just same, show them that you care. I mean, it for some people, it's going to be like losing a family member.
Mhm.
So just like you would if you were losing if someone had lost a family member. And I mean, I know that seems silly, but for a
No, it
lot of
makes
people,
sense.
yeah. I mean, Nugget, 3 of my children are gone. Like I've got my 14-year-old, and I mean, I have other skunks, but it's Nugget. So when Nugget passes, yeah, it's going to be devastating. So
And
that was
for
good.
obvious reasons. Yeah.
That was a really good question. I'm going to start thinking about that too. Absolutely. Thank you, whoever asked that. That was good. That was good.
All right. So we got those were all the questions there, and excuse me. A lot of people in the comments, just trying to connect information and everything. Make sure there's a button underneath us right now. This is join the WTM community. There's a bunch of us over there already, just connecting, networking beyond the event, and that's what the community is all about. And but it's not just for the event. There's a bunch of other spaces there as well where we are continuing conversations on a bunch of different things. And it's just a bunch of us folks who come from public safety, 911, and everything. But again, it's not just public safety stuff that we're talking about over there. We're talking about everyday life, how people are working with different things, and that's what it's all about. Heather, thank you again.
Oh,
Nugget,
thank
thank
you,
you
Patty.
as well. This
He's,
was
he's sleeping.
he's gone. I,
I knew he was going to do it too.
it was hilarious. Right before you let him out, just the fact that he was over there, probably like scratching or something, and he was like, "I'm done. I'm out."
See, if anyone has ever, like, I've only done this session twice live. But if you see me do it live, he's not that way.
No.
He is in work mode. So if you ever get a chance to see us live, yeah, you get up close and personal with Nugget, and he just wants to sleep.
Yes,
So
I will say this one last thing before we wrap up here and go to the next session. When For those who are watching and listening, who didn't get a chance to check out the episode that we did, I traveled to the dispatch center to record the episode there, and I had so much shit that I was going through during that time, and imminent death in the family, and just a lot of different things going. It was really, really tough, but I wanted to do this episode, and I drove over there, which was a couple hours. No, it was 2.5 hours, something like that, of a drive. So I'm just in my head, right, the whole time, listening to music and stuff, just trying to keep going. And I get over there, and I walk in, and I see Heather and Nugget, and like we said hello, right? Nice to meet you, all that other good stuff, and then immediately, "Do you wanna hold him?" And I was like, "Yes, yeah, sure." And this was the crazy things, like, Nugget knew. Like, I could tell he could feel it, because as soon as I picked him up and held him, he wrapped his little arms around mine, and he pulled me in. I was like, "He knew."
we
And
have like 2 minutes so I can tell.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
at IPSTA, when we were at IPSTA, the final night, they had their breakout party, and all I wanted to do was get in and dance. That's all I wanted to do. But I mean, I kept getting stopped. When that happens, I expected Nugget was with me, so I finally made it in. Finally made it up to the bar, and a woman came up to me and she says, "I've been looking for you everywhere." And I was like, "Oh," and I mean, clearly something was wrong. And she goes, "I just got devastating news." So in the middle of this celebration, she'd just gotten devastating news, and she was looking for me. And I handed her Nugget and I said, "Follow me." And we went out into the hallway, and she sat in one chair. I sat a little bit away from her in the other chair, and just watched as Nugget he nestled his face right here and just did that thing where he lets out this, he just goes, and he buries his whole body into you. And she
Wow.
lost it, and she just started crying, and I stopped watching at that point. But I was like, in that moment, I was so proud of Nugget, because I was like, you are doing exactly why I advocate for ESA dispatchers. Like, like, this little skunk is the most amazing creature, and he was working, and it was perfect. And she sat there for quite a while until people noticed she had Nugget and then surrounded her. But in that moment, I was like, this is the perfect example of what an ESA dispatcher should be like.
Damn.
So
That
yeah.
is a powerful story, man. Thank you for sharing that. And
Thank
also,
you guys. Sorry.
I want to say one last thing before we go off air here with this session and go to the next session. You are not just the girl with the skunk. This is what you are here. You're a part of this. Heroes, man. That's you. So thank you for
Thanks.
what you're doing and everything. And I appreciate you. Everyone here appreciates you, as well as Nugget and everything. And for getting this message out, appreciate it very much. For everyone who is here, we're going to be going to the next session. I'll bring you over with me. That'll be with Natalie Hunt. And she's going to be doing a session called Nourished for Optimal Health, even in high stress. So we will see you
Ooh.
all in the next one.
Thanks, guys.